to today's very special Love Chat with the Love Twins. I'm here with my honey, Rick, and we are, first of all, we're so grateful that we got so many questions asked about us, how we met, our relationship. We're going to try to go through them as quickly as possible, but we also got a lot of questions. So just want disclaimer, there may be a part two to this video because we want to make sure that we answer as many of them as possible. So anything you want to say before we start?
No, let's get to it.
Let's get to it. All right. So the first question was how we met. How did we meet?
How did we meet? From my perspective, how we met is I was dragged
Let's clarify.
dragged to a nightclub, which we're in dispute against the name of the nightclub because I can't remember what it is.
Yes, we can't find it on the internet.
But we know that it was in North Miami Lakes, North Miami Beach. But anyway, I was dragged to the nightclub and I saw her dancing on the dance floor with a bunch of other guys.
Sorry.
And you know, she drew my attention. That's how I saw you. And then I went up to you, made you laugh.
First thing he did was make me laugh.
And that was it.
And
then I had her in my clutches.
That's it. The funny thing is, we were just talking right before. I also felt like I was dragged to that club because I had been stood up by somebody else earlier that day, and I was crying and the whole drama. My best friend at the time, Elaine, was like, "We're not doing that whole thing. We're going dancing." And I fought it the whole day. I don't want to go dancing. Let's just, because she's like, "You can sleep over my house." I'm like, "Let's just do the sleepover." She's like, "Nope. We're gonna go. We're gonna have fun because this doesn't mean anything." Because backstory for those of you who are just getting to know us, I had been widowed at 27, and so I was just getting back into dating, and so it was like about the second or third disappointment that I'd had, and I was just like, this is why I'm never gonna get married, and this is why I'm never gonna be in love again. And that was a fear that I had worked through during doing the work that we now teach. I was really afraid I wasn't ever gonna be loved again. And so with these 2 or 3 disappointments, I kept finding evidence for that. And she was like, "We're gonna go dancing." So we went, and I was still kind of like upset. But right before I walked in, I said, "You know what? I'm just gonna have fun. Like, I love dancing. It was a reggae night. I'm just gonna have fun." And as soon as I walked over that threshold, I was just being myself and gonna have fun. And he's the first person I saw across the dance floor. And I was like, he's holding his little Corona.
With the line in there.
Bouncing his head by the DJ. And I was like, oh my God, that guy is so cute. And he said he saw me dancing with a bunch of other guys. That was because he didn't come up to talk to me. He didn't come up to me till I was getting ready to leave.
Because you were always dancing with somebody else. What are you talking about?
Well, I can't help it. When you're an irresistible woman, that's what happens. But yeah, I was aligned with my intention to have fun. And I kept hoping he would walk over. And then towards the end of the night, when I'm telling my friend, "I can't believe that guy didn't ask me to dance," her eyes are getting like saucers. And I'm like, he's standing behind me. Thank God it was the club and he couldn't hear what she and I were saying. And then I turned around and he introduced himself and he made me laugh. And that's how we met. And that was July 1999. July 9th, 1999. And some of the questions, babe, that came around meeting the right person, around how can you meet the right person? Because I honestly I didn't go out that night intending that I was going to meet the person that I was going to marry. I just wanted to get over like that disappointment.
Yeah.
Where were you at, like, in your life?
Well, I was divorced by, I don't even know how long, over a year, I think, at that point. And I had been dating a couple different people, nothing great. And I did not want to go out that night. It was a Friday. I had a crappy day at work. I didn't make any money. And I had no money. So my friend from work dragged me out. And I just figured I'll just go hang out for a little while and have a couple beers and head home and go to bed and then go to work the next day.
So thank goodness we both had friends who saw us bigger than our complaints.
Yeah.
And we're like standing for us, God. I believe God was guiding them, to like, you never know. And really what I learned was that a crappy day, because you were having a crappy day at work, I was having a crappy day, having been stood up, things can literally change in an instant. And when you have people around you who support you versus keep you down or agree with your misery, then you get to move forward. So thank you to our friends. I already thanked mine. I don't know if you're still in touch with her, but I sent her a thank you on the
I
9th.
haven't talked to him in a while.
Yeah, I sent her a thank you on July 9th. Let's see. So one lady asked, how can you find your other half? Will he love you even if you're broken? I asked her a little bit more about that, and she said that she's been through a lot of trauma in her life. She's still healing. So she wonders if somebody where she is right now in her healing process would see her and think, oh yeah, she's the one I want to be with.
I mean, that's a loaded question.
Mhm.
I don't think any person is gonna know that off the bat by just seeing you. They gotta know you, right? But whether or not you're broken, I think is a question for you, not for that person, right? If you see yourself as broken, that's you seeing yourself as broken, and you're putting out there that you're broken, because we're all broken in one way or another, right? So, yeah, he'll love you. If he loves you, he's gonna love you for who you are. That includes the whole package, right? You can't love just a piece of somebody. That's not love.
I love that you said that. And I think you spoke to a really important piece, which is the identity. Like if you've identified as I am broken, or I am my trauma, right? There's trauma as I'm 90. I always hesitate to use the statistics, but based on the recording that Michelle and I have done, between 90 and 95% of the ladies that we work with have been through some sort of severe trauma. We're not even talking about like trauma of a car accident or like severe trauma. I don't want to say words that'll take this off of social media, but you all get the idea. And when you have that in your past, I have it in my past, right? You there's a fine line between this is what happened to me and this is who I am. So when Rick said, we're all of us is a little broken, when you've gone through trauma, pieces of you break away, right? That's why people get to heal the trauma. That's why Michelle and I do so much work on healing the trauma as you're getting to know yourself and then as you're getting to know someone else. So I always say you're not broken. Your heart may be broken, but you are not. And parts of you may have broken off with the trauma, but you are not broken. You're how you see yourself and how you talk to yourself about yourself, and to Rick's point, how you introduce yourself and present yourself to people. You are not your trauma. You are not the things that were done for you. And I'm going to say this, now I'm going over, but I'm going to say this because I know somebody has to hear it. Whatever someone or some people did to you, the one thing they did not get to reach, the one thing they can never take away from you is your light, is who you are. So let's heal the pieces that broke away so that you can not only meet someone who's going to love you, but so that you can love yourself enough that you attract somebody who loves you and can see who you are, like Rick said, who can see that and fall in love with you, because real love is loving someone exactly the way they are and exactly the way they're not. We'll probably talk a little bit more about that as we go. As far as the questions, then we had some questions about specific age groups, over 70, how to meet someone, and then also how do you move past like somebody calling a few times, or you see each other a few times, maybe it's gone from texting to calling, but then they disappear and then you don't hear from them, and then they come back after, she said something like a few months later when it didn't work out with the other person. So I know that's a lot. I mean, I said we're probably gonna do a part two, but what is there any part of that you want to address?
I think for me, like what I'm hearing in that conversation is like there's a missing in the interaction with that person that's not making you irresistible to them. Does that make sense? So, like from our first interaction, we talked for a couple hours
Mhm.
in the club.
Shouted.
We shouted at each other in the club for a couple hours. And it just made me want more. Like how she was being, who she was being, made me want to know more. So we got on the phone the next day after when I left work at 9 o'clock at night, and we spoke till 7 o'clock in the morning on the phone because I couldn't get enough. Because she was irresistible to me.
Oh.
I could not get enough. If I could have like not gone to work 2 hours after we got off the phone, then I wouldn't have gone to work and gone to see her. If I could have.
But he locked in the date.
But I locked in the date. Yes, we got to see each other again. But you know, the point is, if a guy likes you, if he's into you, he's gonna want to be around you in some way, some form or another, as much as possible.
For sure.
Right. So that could sound a little harsh, right?
Mhm.
It's the whole he's not that into you kind of conversation, but it's part of the dating game, I think.
Exactly. And that's what I was gonna speak to. If one of the things that Michelle and I highly recommend is that you're dating more than one person at the same time. So this person, these men may be doing that. And the reason we recommend that you date more than one person at the same time is so that you're giving yourself the opportunity to take your time getting to know different people before you decide that you're only going to date one person. So, but like hypothetically, let's say that this person's dating other people, and then he meets one person and he stops dating everybody else, and then he reemerges, right? And you're like, oh, it's just because it didn't work out with the person. That's why we say to avoid doing that. You get attached to one person too quickly. You close all of the other doors, and now you've invested a month, 2 months, 3 months with someone who wasn't the right person. So the what we recommend is that you're dating is getting to know people. That's all we're recommending that you do. Dating more than one person at the same time, taking your time to get to know all of them before you decide this is the one person that I'm going to date. That avoids that premature attachment. And also when the person, if somebody does come back, like you just get to see, well, is this somebody that I would still like to keep getting to know? Do not take it personally, because people, not everybody has taken our coaching. Not everybody knows that that's what we're recommending. And then to Rick's point is like, who are you being? Like before you open the app, before you step out, remember how I said before I stepped into the club, I was like, I'm just gonna have fun. And I was just being myself, and that's what he saw, and that's what attracted him. Like, what are the beliefs that you have about dating, about men, about relationships, all of that stuff? You want to make sure that you're doing the work to break through it, because that energy is like the filter through which he's seeing you and through which you're seeing him, and that could be impacting it. But people coming in and out in dating, I think is very normal. And yes, the person who's really into you is going to want to lock in the date, is going to want to, be on a phone call before meeting you. If you say, I really do prefer to talk before I meet in person, is not going to put up an excuse or a barrier to that. And same thing if you say, I'd like to stay on the app for a little while before giving you my number. It's just something that I do when I'm meeting somebody for the first time. He's not going to take that personally, because he's going to want to keep talking to you. And if where you want to be is on the app, he will do that. Okay. And as far as the dating advice at different ages, it doesn't change that much. I know people will say, oh, it's different when you're dating in your 20s and you're dating in the 70s. Principles are principles. It's like laws are laws. The laws of physics are laws of physics, whether you're in Florida or you're in Japan. The laws of physics are the same. So if you are a woman, or our clients range from anywhere from late 30s into the late 70s. And women in their 60s and 70s are getting married, some of them for the first time. So I just want to say that if you're somebody in that age range, and of course, women who are younger as well, it's what are the beliefs that you are having? And are you being led by three things: who you are, your vision for love, and your values? We were having a conversation before we started the recording. It's like values kept coming up. It's like values is what is like your North Star, what you truly value, like the values you live by is what I'm talking about. The vision that you have for the kind of relationship you want, and the vision that you want for yourself in your life. If you are being authentic, you're going to attract somebody who's a match for you, your vision, and your values, and that makes it a lot easier to meet someone. All right. So, how did you guys know that it was time to go from dating to marriage?
Honestly, I think what solidified it for me was, and this was very, very soon after we met.
It was
Unfortunately,
a little bit soon.
it's really weird because before I met her, and like I said, I was divorced. I was like, I'm not gonna be marrying anybody again. I'm just gonna play the field. That's gonna be me. And we went on a date. This was like 3 days later, right? 2 days later.
Our first date was 2 days after we met, and then our second date was 3 days after we met.
So this is our second date,
Mm-hmm.
right? 3 days after we met, this was our second date. We went on a lunch date where she came to my job. We went out to lunch. We just went to the food court in the mall, and I got a food allergy or some allergy that made my face swell, like really bad. And I was super embarrassed, and I had to leave work, and she took me home.
I did not take him home. I followed him. I gotta say, you say stuff, and I'm like, teaching women not to do that. I only went
She
to his
followed me
job
home
because he
to
had
make sure I got
die,
home okay.
and then I followed him.
And
Because
and
you had, why did I feel the need to follow you?
because I took a lot of Benadryl, and so I was getting drowsy, and so she
And I
followed
was
me home
like,
to make sure
you
I was
safe driving, and we lived like, we didn't know this, but we lived like minutes away from each other for
Yeah.
years. For years, we lived minutes away from each other. So I was like, I'll follow you. If at any point you feel like you're falling asleep, just pull over, because I didn't think that it was safe for him to drive, and I was not about to get like drive him. Like I just knew him 2 days, right? So
I also couldn't leave my car in wherever
it was super far.
Yeah. So basically, the point is, what like kind of made it the thing for me was her generosity, how she was being with me, just willing to go out of her way to take care of someone she doesn't know. I don't come from a place where people are like that. I don't see, I didn't have that kind of mentality growing up. Um, other than from my mom. But that's what made that I was like, wow, this one's different.
Thank you. And then we dated. We dated for 6 months before he proposed to me, which for some people would have been fast. Honestly, I had said that I was never going to get married again because nobody would ever love me, and he was saying he was never going to get married again because of the divorce. So some people might say that that was soon. We really took a lot of time getting to know each other, mostly by phone because I was traveling a lot for work.
Yeah.
And so when I was in town, we would see each other. But I think how I knew that I was ready for marriage is really what I was saying before. The values were lining up, the vision was lining up. We're two completely different people. At that time, we had even more radically different outlooks on life. We've kind of grown together to match, but we had completely different visions on a lot of things that I'm not going to open up that kind of worms on this video, but the values and the vision for life and what we wanted to experience in a relationship, that was, for me, it was matching. It was matching. And so I started to feel like if he asked me, I would absolutely say yes. And we started talking about that. And then for you, how did you know that it was like, okay, now we're gonna move from dating to marriage?
I don't know how to it's not a one specific thing. It's how we grew, and there was the feeling I had, like I didn't want to be not with her anytime. Like I wanted to be with you all the time. And you had to travel for work, and when you were back, we were together the whole time you were here, and that, like, for me, was like, it wasn't okay that you weren't around.
uh, I think you already talked about this, but somebody asked you a specific question. What was the thing you admire most? Or what is the one thing you admire most?
It's her generosity. That nobody, I mean, nobody can compare how generous she is with her being, her time, everything, money. She's just the most generous person there is.
Thank you. Can I say what I admire most about you?
Okay.
And I do receive that, thank you, is his authenticity from the very start. From the very start, he was who he said he was all the time. Sometimes I would be like, please don't be like that in front of people. But he was just so real, like to the point where on our first date, we tell this story a lot, but on our first date, we had been together, we had been on the date for several hours, and I was starting to get hungry, and I said something like, I'm starving or I'm so hungry. And I must have said it more than once, and he started to act weird, but I didn't know that that was why. And so I kept asking him, are you okay? Like, is everything okay? Because we were having such a great time laughing, and all of a sudden he was kind of being a little serious, and it looked like he wasn't there. Like,
Yeah.
and then he said, look, here's the thing. When I asked you to go out today, um, no, that's not what you said. You said, I have $25.
No, $20. I
Or
didn't have
20 bucks
I
in
think
his-
I had like $2 in my wallet, and I had $20 in my bank
in your
account.
bank account. And he said, I have $20. When I asked you out, I didn't want to I don't get paid till Friday, and I didn't want to have to wait till Friday to see you.
Right.
I have $20 to my name, and it's gonna be $12 to pay for parking. I can't take you out to dinner. And a lot of women at that point would have been like, oh my God, this guy doesn't have money. All I was like, how freaking courageous is this man? How authentic and humble is he? And he didn't want to wait till Friday to see me. Like, these are the things I was like, there was a Miami Subs, Miami Grill, well, back
Yep.
then it was Miami Subs. And I was like, I love French fries. And he looked at me and he was like, I like French fries too. And I was like, and we can throw in a Diet Coke, right? And I didn't pay for it. He used the last $8 to pay for the biggest bucket, because they used to have a bucket back then, and a bucket of Diet Coke, and we shared that. That was our first date.
It was like $6 back then for both things.
Yeah. Now forget it.
Now,
It's funny
now
that-
we would have just had to starve. We would have had to starve, I think. Yeah.
And I was just like, that authenticity was everything. Like, because one of my big fears was that I was gonna meet somebody and they were gonna turn into somebody they weren't.
Yeah.
And the fact that he did that, he took such a risk, right? I could have been like, this guy's, loser, or he doesn't have money. I wasn't looking for anybody to take care of me. I was looking for a partner. That's what I wanted in my life. And that was
And
it.
that partnership has flourished into everything we have today.
Everything. We've created dreams, and we both have exceeded the dreams we had then, and now we're working towards 27 years later, we've got new dreams that we're working towards. So yeah, I'm glad I didn't jump to a conclusion or make a judgment, so I would have missed out on the best 27 years of my life. And somebody asked, can you really have it all? Rich
Yes.
and elegant queen, millionaire, and love and marriage with a God of faith and valor. So can you really have it all? Yes.
If you want.
Yeah, I believe it. I believe it, not just because I'm living it, but because I'm living it, and I've helped so many women live everything that their hearts desire to be, excellent at their career, whether it's entrepreneurship or they're in corporate, to be amazing wives and mothers, to be, of course, starting with the woman, to be incredible women who know themselves. When we say irresistible, the irresistible woman, we use the, what is it called? The acronym MAGICAL. She's magnetic, authentic, she's gracious, she's inspiring, confident, alluring, and lovable. When we say love, able to love and be loved, right? To receive the love also. And when you are being that kind of woman, you're not just attracting the right man, you're attracting the right opportunities, the right connections, the right people into your life who will propel your life forward. So my very, very clear answer to that question is yes, you can. Now, is there something in the way of that? That's where Michelle and I come in. What's blocking you that you may not even know is blocking you, so that we can get that thing out of the way. I almost said that word. And move you and your life forward. So you're living life and love beyond your wildest dreams. That's
Can
the
I
promise.
add to that?
Of course.
So the thing I would add to that is to going back to authenticity, right? Like what's the important piece in that question to me is love. Rich is a material thing, millionaire is a material thing, love and marriage, even marriage is a material thing. The love is what's genuine. And if you're true to that, everything else can fall in place. But if you're authentic, if you're faking and pretending and I gotta be rich and it's all about the money and da 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 and you're it's about the money, but I'm pretending it's about the love, then it's never gonna come into place because one thing is gonna kill the other thing. And it's just gonna be in the background and cause regret and problems, etc. So authenticity is where it starts.
Exactly. And you that's where you hear the alignment to the values that I said that we were talking and values kept coming up. Like, what do I value? Because like I have no problems with being a millionaire. I do not push money away and I welcome all the abundance that God sends my way. And I know that I can be a prosperous woman with a happy, loving relationship, a beautiful family, and all of the other dreams that are in my heart. And it starts with the woman I am being. Like Rick said, if I'm not being authentic to who I am, what I believe in, and what I want to create, he's like he said, one thing will cancel out the other. You want yourself with a capital S to be aligned with all of the areas in your life. Wealth, health, spirituality, love, everything. It's all you. Right? It's your life. It's not your spiritual life and your financial life. It's all your life. So start with the relationship with you, transform that into the most powerful relationship in it will be the longest lasting relationship you ever have is the one with yourself. Make that the most powerful and everything else starts to line up. Everything that's aligned will come into place 100%. All right, we're going a little bit long. I don't even remember what time we started. So
30 minutes ago.
okay, so let's answer a couple more because we did get a lot of questions about what's helped us to make our relationship last. So this person knows that there was a patch like 6 years into our marriage. It was a rough patch. It was about a year and a half, almost 2 years, where we were just pulling away from each other instead of pulling closer together. We waited to have our son until 3 years after we were married, and then this was about the time that I was pregnant with our second son, and it just felt like we were actually, I think it was from before I was pregnant to when we had him. So it was a tough time. I call it the dark ages for a reason, right? It wasn't easy. We were not communicating,
Right.
fighting most of the time. And when we talk about connection, I don't think I think we connected. Actually, Xavier was already here. We connected about the kids, but we weren't really connecting
With each other.
So she said, what is it that you had to rise above? What is it that had you rise above the static, toxic part of the relationship when things were going out of love? How did we turn it around?
Well, this was you doing your heart work because I know it wasn't called heart work back then, but this is before you did it. But this doing what you teach now is that you noticed something. I know you told this story before about when I would come home from work and I would like literally just go get undressed, go sit on the couch and watch TV. And then you started talking and I would turn the TV up to drown her out.
Yeah,
because her talking wasn't talking. It was nagging. It was a lot of that. And I was just like click, 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 click. And I got a surround sound system just so I can like all the way around not hear anything.
And then I remember the day that he did it the most obviously. Because he was just ignoring me because what I was saying were things like, oh, it must be nice to have. So I don't know what I would do because I'm at the sink making noise with the dishes. to kind of not let him watch his TV, which is also contributing to the volume up. And I was just like, so I felt so
Slamming
unsupported.
dishes.
Yeah, I was slamming dish. I felt
I mean, the cabinets.
just to like,
Sorry.
yeah, just to like annoy him, and then saying things like that, like, oh, it must be so nice that you leave work and you're done. I leave work and I'm doing this, and this is a nice version of it. It was really like very, I call it now poisonous. And I just felt unsupported. I felt disconnected. I was terrified that I had made a mistake in getting married, and I didn't know how to communicate that except through complaining, because how I grew up was whoever spoke the loudest won. Whoever was the loudest, the meanest, was the person who got their way. And so we were arguing and we were saying things to each other that honestly, two people who love each other should never be saying to each other, trying to get the other one to hear the needs that we had. We didn't know how to communicate them, but I tried. I'm not, it doesn't make me feel proud to change him for 2 years, right? I kept taking him to courses and sending him articles and all of this stuff, and didn't realize that I was really being like self-righteous, like I was better than him in some way. And that day, that one day that he was like, so he literally went like that with his hand with the remote. I was like, man, this cannot continue. And I, started talking to my sister, and one day she asked me, do you want to be married to this man? And I was like, I didn't say no, but it scared me that I didn't say yes. So I just said, not like this. And she said, then you need to do something, Gladys, because bitching, moaning, and complaining isn't a strategy that's working for you. And I hung up on her. And then I called her back. And then but she was right. And that's when I started, like you said, it wasn't called heart work back then. Michelle and I didn't learn what we teach from a book. It's literally what Michelle did to attract Arnie after being divorced and having 5 years of very unsuccessful dating, and what I did to attract Rick, and also to turn our marriage around. So to answer the questions, because some of these are like, all of these are like related. It was definitely learning how to communicate.
Yes.
Learning how to communicate differently, not even differently, effectively.
Yeah.
And how to say what I needed without it being a complaint or a criticism or a correction to him.
Yeah.
I would say that and gratitude were the first two things that I started with. Just saying
that
thank you
first
for all.
one,
Mhm.
right? Of how you communicated is what kind of made my eyebrow go up, right? Because
Got your attention.
it's two people, it's not just one. It's not, but it was how she learned to do those things that made me say, wait a minute, is this the same person who's like been nagging in my ear that I like completely wanted to ignore? And little by little, I saw myself doing different things and communicating more. And, I don't even remember specifically, but something you said one day after you were like doing this for a while, because at first I was skeptical.
Yeah, and I didn't
Right.
make an announcement.
Yes.
Hey, I'm gonna start changing what I do.
Yeah.
I was just
I
being.
was like, oh, now she's playing tricks, right?
That's
But
all
then-
that she could-
so, but then I was like, well, let me grab that. Let me do this, And you said something, and I said, well, I'll take care of it. And it was
Yeah, all I said was I need help. And I didn't even say
Yeah.
it to him. I was saying it kind of like talking outside, like, well, man, the kids have to go to be put to bed. I have to give them a bath. I've got to get lunch ready for tomorrow and the laundry. I was like saying out loud to myself, and I was like, I need help. And he turned the volume down, right? Like he literally turned, and he said, what do you need help with? And I say this jokingly, but it's not a joke. I did not know how to answer that question because I was so used to complaining that he didn't help that it didn't, first of all, occur to me that I needed to say was I need help. But I didn't want it to come out like a honey-do list, like I need you to.
Right.
So all I said, I didn't say I need you to. I said, I need to do the dishes, bathe the kids, make lunch, and do the laundry. And he said, I'll bathe the kids and I'll do the dishes. And then he started to go upstairs with the boys, and then he came back down. He's like, but one thing, and I was like, that's it. Now I thought that was your trick. That's a trick. There's a condition. And he's like, when I do the dishes, please don't do them again.
Yeah. Oh, it's a whole nother video,
So,
whole nother episode right here. We gotta talk about with the dishes.
and I was about to say, I don't do, and I did not say because he was right. He would do something and I would come behind him and do it again. He would mop the floor and I would come behind him and mop it again. He would, it was an unconscious correction constantly, or criticism, or, oh, thank you for doing that. But next time it was so pervasive that I didn't know that I was doing it. So I told him, okay. And you know what? He came down this, he put the kids to bed. He came downstairs and he sat on the couch. And for 3 hours, I was envisioning the dishes that were not, that were sitting in the sink. It was like, oh my God, like I'm sweating thinking about it now. And I said to myself, it's either going to be you're going to say something about the dishes or you're going to enjoy an evening with your husband. And I chose to enjoy the evening with my husband. And at midnight, which is never what I would do, he got up at midnight or almost midnight. He went over and he started to do the dishes. I could have ruined that by saying,
And
"Didn't
there's
you
a
say you were
logical
gonna-"
explanation why I don't do the dishes till I go to bed.
Because
Because
I still don't know this one.
I'm still using dishes
Oh,
the whole extra 3 hours. So why would I do them now, then have to do them again later, then have to do them again later? I just do them all at once.
and that was so different because I won't even sit down to eat dinner until I've done the dishes from preparing
Yeah.
dinner.
So by the time she sits down to dinner, her dinner's cold, by the way.
But it can work even when you attract somebody who's completely the opposite of you. You've got to make the differences. You got to say, we're different. That doesn't mean he's wrong or I'm wrong. You bring acceptance to the person. And that's his jam. That's his jam.
Well, it's efficiency.
I have a microwave. I just reheat my dinner 7 times. um, I think, we talked about this one. Maybe we'll do a video on that. About it, about how people change over time, and we were both even. I think that would be a good discussion because we're talking about, do people change or are they just growing? Like, the essence of a person actually change, or are they just growing? But I'll say
That'd be a good topic for IWL.
Yeah, IWL. Oh my gosh! So IWL is the Irresistible Woman Live, and if you're enjoying this conversation, we have a segment for VIPs where our husbands actually come and you can ask them any questions that you want, anything. And it's not streamed, so it could be anything. And or it's not streamed on social media. And when the guys come and they answer the women's questions, it's always one of the most impactful experiences. Like, it really is. So if I probably should have said this earlier, but if you're interested in attending Irresistible Woman Live, go ahead and put IWL in the chat, and we'll make sure we put you on the waiting list. We're going to be making some announcements very soon. But if you're interested in IWL, go put IWL for Irresistible Woman Live in the chat, and we'll send you something. Okay. Somebody on our team will let you know that you are on the list to find out more. But we were talking about. Thank you for bringing that up, babe. We were talking about how, does a person really change, or are they just growing and evolving? Because if you're waiting for somebody to change, or you're trying to change someone, I already told you, I feel that experiment, you're going to be really disappointed. Real love is accepting the human being who is next to you exactly the way they are and exactly the way they're not. Doesn't mean you can't keep growing and learning and becoming, but your partner is not your DIY project for you to improve, right? You're not flipping your guy like you flip a house, right? So you've got to love them as they are, and then you become together who you become together, and as individuals. Okay. The last thing we're going to talk about, or the last question we're going to answer, I told you we weren't going to be able to get to all of them, is, what is your number one rule for a marriage to last? So I don't like rules. I just say, like, what is our guiding principle? I mean, you can make it a rule, but mine's going to be a guiding principle.
Well, I think we have several different things, but one of the biggest things is how we treat each other, right? Which isn't always easy. I'm gonna be honest, and I'm worse at it than she is, because you have to work at stuff, right? You have to work at being a certain way, and I get very triggered when I feel disrespected, no matter where we are or what it is, whether if there's nobody around or if there's somebody around, if I feel disrespected, I get triggered and I might say something that's not very nice. But it's effective as a rule because we know like that's not who we are as a couple and to each other. And
Yeah,
so
call them agreements.
yeah,
like
it's
there's
like an agreement. And there has been times where I've been wrong. I mean, it's weird, it's God, but it happens. And so I've had to say I'm sorry. But being big enough to, I think, be that way with each other and be honest with each other. Forget about your pride. Just be that way with each other is probably the best thing to make those things last. And in 26 years, like I said, it's not like we don't disagree on stuff. It's not like we don't argue about stuff or get mad at each other. But we get over it because ultimately, no one else in the world is this person for me. Period.
We get over and not sweeping it under the rug either. We have to have sometimes
Yeah,
those tough
we
conversations
figure it out.
and that agreement that we're going to be loving and respectful to each other. Sometimes now is not the time to have the conversation and we have to wait. And that was one of the things that I used to nag about, but we got to talk, but we have to have good communication. But if we don't talk about it then he would blow up, right? So love and respect is like our highest value inside of our marriage. We're not 100%. We're never pretend to be perfect. We're always making sure that we're working towards that. And I would also say for me, there were times, like I said, that I was always criticizing, right? Or I felt like I had to say, a lot of women say, I just need to speak my truth. I want to say what I think, and I want to say what I feel. And when you're saying what you think and you feel, that's an I statement. It's not an I that statement that includes YOU. And so I really, even 26 years into marriage, 27 years together, before I say something, even if I know that I'm going to be right or I'm going to win the argument, is it worth the price I'm going to pay? Not that he's going to make me pay. Internally, my integrity, the way I feel about myself, the kind of woman that I am. And so that keeps me from saying things, because when you're in a triggered state, you sometimes say things that aren't loving, respectful, kind, or a reflection of the person you want to be, the woman you want to be, the person you want to be. And so I'll ask myself that, is it worth it? If it is, I'll say it, and I'll still say it with respect. If it's not, what was I trying to be right about? I have those internal conversations with myself. But love and respect, if you prioritize love and respect, you will not chip away at the foundation of your relationship the way that I was doing for a while. Thank God that was 20 years ago when we were in that patch.
Yeah.
And 20 years later, here we are, and we pray that we have many, many more decades together. Thank you all. First of all, thank you, because I know you do not like to be on camera. He doesn't. This is a total gift of love for me and for you all, because he does care about our clients and our community. But thank you, baby, for being here, and thank you all for submitting questions. If you have more questions, send them in. We'll either do a part 2 to this joint video. I can also answer some of them in reels and things like that on social media. And you can also always, if you've never had a love discovery session, you can go ahead. We'll make sure that it's in the description of this video to schedule a love discovery session to talk to somebody about the question that you have and about what it might look like for us to support you in breaking through whatever's blocking you from the love that you want. And remember to put IWL if you want to join us for the Irresistible Woman Live. It's going to be an amazing 3 days in October, and it'll totally transform your life, your love life, and your relationship. So thanks for being here with us on our anniversary. We're gonna go have anniversary lunch now.
Yep.